Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the ESL Challenger League, Season 48, on with the Asian region for today. Been a little while since myself and Neo have checked in with this, so
Yeah.
happy to be back on. For a while there, it was kind of our bread and butter for a few seasons, and indeed some familiar names here, of course, across the board, but also a few big changes in places. I think one of the ones that's been turning a lot of heads is, of course, Tyloo, the way they have been performing, and of course, you know, the old Rare Atom core getting together, having a little bit of a dodgy year or so last year, changes in places, Advent gone, right? I think we're very excited to see what this team can do. And then Atox as well, I think, is also another name.
Agreed.
With the Mongols not really being in this season at all, which is kind of fair enough. I think Atox are another team that people are trying to keep their eyes on here.
Yeah, and obviously we got to catch Atox on LAN in person while we were out in Mongolia. And yeah, honestly, they were a really cool side. Obviously, like cool guys in general, but also very, very good at Counter-Strike. They put on a real show, managed to get to the LAN environment. It was in an arena in Mongolia, and yeah, they were sick, dude. So honestly, this side have been doing really well. They've already qualified to Pro League as well. So excited to see what they can do when they get to Pro League. But let's take a look at the standings. Let's see where we are in the grand scope of the season as we can kickstart things with this sort of conversation. Two teams you mentioned, of course, that are Tyloo, that are Atox, looking pretty good. Bromo as well, credit to them, looking pretty solid at the very least. Currently 7-5, not too bad. That's at least getting up there in terms of sort of playoff contention. They're going to hope that some of those teams below them, like the minus 72 Celsius, the IHCs, don't pick up too many wins, or it might sort of knock them off that spot, so to say. But yeah, there's obviously a couple of returning names from even when we were doing it. The Huns as well, you could see them starting to play Counter-Strike at that top level. GR Gaming, they've been around for many a season. Then a couple of new faces. God's Reign, could see them kind of making it through. The guys obviously over from India who are pretty talented in all fairness when I've caught them in the past. Only played 4 games so far. Obviously, they have probably had a bit of a busy schedule with a bunch of events happening in the region. Linvision yet to play. Don't know if they are going to play. Not 100% sure if they are forfeiting. I know they've obviously recently had G and Starry benched. Rumors, obviously, the rumor mill is that obviously with G now going to Tyloo, is that Starry potentially might be joining him. Who knows? But it doesn't seem like it's going to be the case for this season at the very least. But yeah, Linvision yet to play is interesting. From my understanding, they are still playing. I can't see anywhere that they've forfeited. So who knows? Maybe they're just a little busy and waiting for the schedule to free up.
Yeah, very possible. Not quite sure. Yeah, the thing that worries me about them on Liquipedia is there's just kind of a dash. It doesn't necessarily say 0 to 0.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So yeah, not quite sure on the Linvision side of things. It would be a bit of a shame if we don't see them kind of presenting themselves. But yeah, like you say, there's obviously been, I mean, a few changes, what with the benching and whatnot, but they still seem to have, you know, players listed. Maybe didn't get them locked in time ahead of this season, but then why would they be on the list? I don't know, dog. I don't know. Question marks all across, of course. But we do have today's game to kind of check in with here. I believe we'll get the rosters thrown up for you guys in just a second here. But we've got Tyloo up against Noobs but Diligent, which is certainly one of the names of all time. NBD kind of goes hard. For sure.
Yeah.
I like that. But yeah, Noobs but Diligent. You would be forgiven for maybe not recognizing too many of these players. Ruben is the most recognizable name on that side, having sort of stuck around for a little while here within the Asian scene. Maybe not towards the top level, to be honest. You know, it seems like he has been playing for a long time and, you know, 25 years of age. Again, I think you kind of nicely reminded me he was part of Lord Rabbit.
Yes.
Chaoran as well, 2 teams that, you know, within Asia ECL people will be familiar with, but they'd maybe find 1 or 2 good games a season that we'd be like, oh damn, didn't expect them to win that, but ultimately not the most impressive team or impressive name, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're a side who have sort of had somewhat middling performance so far. I think we definitely, the expectation, the hope is that they can maybe put up a little bit of a competition against Tyloo, but let's be perfectly honest, very few people have been able to put up a competition against this current Tyloo. They're looking in some red hot form for them. They're a side who are very difficult to beat in this tournament generally. We always traditionally see them make it deep into those playoffs. Even when it was the previous roster of Advent, for example, they would always make deep runs into those playoffs, and more often than not lose to a team like Linvision or the Mongols when they would play in this Challenger League circuit. So I look at it as Tyloo now with a good opportunity. No Mongols present means that the big favorite in the region aren't here. You've got Linvision who are yet to play a game, so who knows what's going on there, whether they are even going to play a game, right? In the big air quotation marks and all the rest. So it is a possibility and an opportunity for Tyloo to come in towards the season and be considered the favorites and play like the favorites as well. Obviously, there's Atox they definitely have to be careful of, especially when it gets towards best of 3 sort of scenarios and the rest. But I think all in all, this is a really good time for Tyloo to once again kind of reclaim a bit of dominance in the region. It's been a good few years since we've actually seen Tyloo be Tyloo, live up to that name value. Right? Who, I mean, let's be honest, for a good couple of years now, being nothing short of underwhelming, right? So I'm glad they're back into a somewhat dominant position. We've obviously had our predictions of where we think this one's going. I am all in on Tyloo, and you are as well. And let's be perfectly honest. I think that one was pretty easy to call.
Yeah. There's not really too much to add to it. Just the way that, like you say, Tyloo have been looking. Obviously, there was a bit of time, like I say, this rare atom core. That's where they sort of bursted on and became a bit famous. Then we had this kind of Cyclone team for like a couple months, and they were a little bit in interim for a while, this squad, but very quickly picked up by Tyloo. And it has been a little while, to be fair, since they've been picked up by Tyloo. So, we weren't quite sure what was going on. They had like 7 players at one point, right?
True.
And, are we getting them in? They kind of picked the roster up, still had a few of those problematic players, Advent being one of them. Maybe a bit of a surprise they're being dropped by this team, but indeed, again, changes had to come in. It's a new guard of Chinese Counter-Strike that are really trying to get them back on the map, and so far, so good. It looks like this would be a heck of a drop. Unfortunately, we do also have that player to watch throughout the series here. It's going to be Jam Young. Kind of makes sense when you're looking at this crop of players. Jam Young is always the one that we are going to keep eyes on. We expect big things from him, and hopefully he can deliver that on the server. Yeah,
and not only, obviously, one of the more star riflers in this team will play in the pack on T side, on the CT side, going to be playing out through the middle, getting a lot of those kind of preferential spots. He's also the IGL now. With Advent stepping down, it's Jam Young who's picked up the calling, and I think it's really interesting to see what this guy can do. 23 years of age, but he's still young, generally speaking, but he's been playing Counter-Strike for a hell of a long time now. I mean, well over sort of like 5 years at this point. And it is interesting to see how he can now pick up the mantle from Advent. He spent basically the majority of his career alongside him, basically the entirety of his career alongside Advent. And can he learn from him as a caller and then be able to implement that alongside already is quite astounding fragging power when he is able to bring it to the server? I mean, that's the big question for me. Can we see the best of both? Can we get this Jam Young, who we know could put up serious numbers, be quite a menace to deal with, but can we also get to see the other side as well, where he can call a good game, be able to counter-strat, read the opponent, and all of the rest? I think in a thankful sense for Noobs but Diligent, I think my understanding is a little bit loose in terms of maybe what we'd expect out of them in terms of maybe calling or the strat book. That might be a little bit puggy in a sense, but I'm so interested to see what they can bring to the server nonetheless, because there is times where Tyloo do have a bit of an off day, and that's where maybe you can sort of catch them off guard.
Yes, absolutely. Let's just go over the map very briefly here. I think, the way that the format is working, right, you have the 2 BO1s that are played, 2 separate vetoes for it. The map that gets played in the sort of first series, as it were, is probably what we'll keep referring to them. That gets immediately kind of automatically banned away. So Mirage is going to be our first map of viewing here, but into the second round of banning phase, which I'm not sure if we'll get that now or if we'll get that kind of beforehand. So I'll maybe leave it as a little bit of a surprise. The Mirage gets banned away immediately, right? So no chance of a Mirage in the next. It kind of makes it feel like both teams get a bit of a chance to narrow it down to a clean map, as it were. The Mirage coming in, again, one of these sort of leveler maps that we talk about all the time. Everyone's going to be comfortable with Mirage. It's kind of interesting, I think, in the Asian region, in the ECLs, we actually tend to get like a lot of nuke and stuff like that. It can be a little different. out here for sure, but I would say Mirage makes sense. It's not necessarily the best map in the world for Tyloo, but it's going to be one that everyone's comfortable with.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of, I feel like a bit of a handshake here, right? Both of them can be like, okay, fair enough. This is a map that we have as part of our pool. I think probably a little bit more part of the pool over towards Noobs but Diligent, but at least it's something that Tyloo have played, can play, but it is definitely one they've struggled on in the past. I think, especially when they played against slightly better sides as well, they've definitely looked a little bit worse for wear. This is also a map in which does have the ability and is akin to a bit of an upset as well. So I'm interested to see kind of how Noobs but Diligent approach this. If they don't show too much respect to Tyloo out the gates, they could really make a little bit of a run out of this. They could really start to put a bit of pressure on this side of the doors. However, there is always the other thing, the big fundamental point you have to talk about, where in a worst case scenario, if the game plan isn't working out or things are going a little bit south, Tyloo can always fall back on their individuals. We spoke about Jam Young, but the rest of this team as well, G's and Orpa, incredibly talented. Mercury, Mosaic, both riflers who can put up incredible numbers, and Joking, same for him as well. And worst case, scenario too, Cammy can kind of try to pump the brakes and bring them back in towards the game itself. Either way, we are heading in towards Mirage. We're getting this one started. It is our first best of one of 2 for the day here. Mirage will be our map number 1. Tyloo going to start on that CT side.
Yes, sir. Getting straight into the action. Exactly how we like it here. No messing around, and we're pretty much on time, so I'll take it. I will take it. Always makes me happy to see the players getting in. I think we're getting much better globally at this. There have been, times where it took a bit of a while, especially when you got a BO1 going. They really just kind of run around for a little while or forget to have breakfast or something like this.
Yeah.
But it has been kind of a slow start into this round, to be fair, Neo. A lot of utility out for Noobs but Diligent. Not really seeing too much of it just yet. You'd think with this many smokes, on a pistol at least, they'd be headed towards A, but it looks like a B play.
True. I don't really... Yeah, taking a hell of a lot of time. Jam Young pokes his head up. Now they get baited into the fight, Mosaic. First, second gets a tag, but not enough for the kill. Second time asking on the swing, we'll find him. Lovely shot.
Oh, choose down here. This is a little dangerous. Comes in close, unfortunately. Dealt with. Thought that maybe he might get the drop. Not going to happen in behind either. Tyloo with an easy finish, but it was ultimately Mosaic in at that get-right position, just holding the line really, really solidly. So, a tough one to begin for NBD. They will have to potentially stomach this, go for the early AKs. That looks to be the case. Without the bomb plant, this force buy is particularly weak.
It is one of those as well where, they're so slow in their initial approach for Noobs but Diligent. It actually allowed Tyloo to get quite a bit of information and realize there's actually no one towards Ramp. There's no one towards Palace. They've got to be going for a late B pocket. In towards mid. Messy fight, but all the kills going only one way. Nice and easy. Tyloo 2-0. They don't even really break a sweat.
Indeed. But here we are. Very, very quickly, we're into the important round here. It's going to be a bonus out from Tyloo, of course. Still a number of rifles to go with. They went for them quite early, but maybe those extra couple of AKs that NBD have got to work with will make a difference. Window smoke in. Connector smoke in. So really, really quick moves here from the T side, looking to try and lay down some pressure. Flash comes through the connector, and they're doing quite well here at the top end and middle, but it's a couple targets they weren't expecting. I think they were looking for some kind of a response, looking for some kind of an early fight. However, just overlooking one of those angles costs them the first kill.
Joking. First contact for him. Actually, it's Mercury who comes in. Joking takes the second pickings, and it's a really nice double from him as well. Boss man of Jin. Cannot even scratch the surface in that one again. Yikes. This has been pretty one-sided out the gates. Not a hell of a lot that we've seen from Noobs but Diligent. This is a little tough. A little tough. Money is, once again, in a bit of a rough spot too. Should be a 4-0 start for Tyloo. No questions asked.
going through the motion. Much of a challenge thus far. Unfortunately, this might be more of what is to come. Just because Tyloo, well, not just the opponents that they have on the server here, but for the majority of the season have been outmatching everyone, right? They have,
yeah, absolutely,
the most games played, up there with the likes of Bromo, and maybe we were United, we might say. And indeed, they are just bringing an A game to every single match. Eagle makes itself known. Ruben going to go down trying to pick up another kill on towards that A bomb site. It's going to be a move towards B. Might even have been heard those footsteps there from the short player. Not quite sure, but they do look prepared and ready. Jam Young in particular.
Smoke down. I'll try and bait in an early fight here. B9 on the other side can rack a couple of heads if they give it over. Interesting to see as well, Jam Young calling, but be anchoring. It's a bit of an unorthodox place to play as an IGL. Normally, IGLs try to play through the middle in some regard, whether that's kind of like an A rotate or a short rotate, but being a B anchor in this sense is interesting. He's happy to sort of give up his spots. Oh, the Eagle rattles off, but the PT-50 allowed another, and that'll be a bomb plot and a 2 versus 2, but now turn 1. Surely this one's not going to get off the ground. Ooh.
Okay, hold on. 1 versus 1, bit of a reset opportunity as Mosea is quite far away. Not been heard. Mosea, this is tense. He knows he has to kind of bag this one, right? It's a really silly round to be losing. Taking his time, going to be brave with it and get out there. I like it here, though. Feeling how... Oh, holding for it, but the aim punch ends up being enough. Mosea moves in for the kit. And should just about have time here. He's a little far away. It is going to be tight.
I think he's got it.
But he's just got it. He's just got it. Goodness me. That's so close.
Oh.
Unfortunately, Lin Hao, you know, in a really good spot, but just couldn't make it work. You know, needed to land that quick headshot.
Yeah, that's a massive sigh of relief. I think it's safe to say over towards Tyloo, but on the other side as well, for Noobs with Diligent, that's for them an opportunity where they, at the very least, can say, okay, well, we've got a bomb plant, we put it into a 1 versus 1, nearly won it as well. We very nearly made something out of this, but it probably shouldn't have even got off the ground considering our buy. We can compete on the gun round. That's going to give them some confidence to work with. All part in play for Ruben. Quad AKs alongside him, and a good amount of util as well for this C-side. Early in towards the round, I mean, 2 are still in spawn, which is interesting. They're really questioning what they want to do here. A late window smoke will come through, and it will be an opportunity. G pulls off the angle at the worst possible time, and potentially even cost Mercury his life there.
3 on 3 after a quick frag from... God, that is a name there. I'm not gonna lie.
I was gonna go
Sassy Key.
I was gonna go XP Saisky or Sasiki. XP Sasiki.
XP Sasiki. That kind of works.
Yeah, yeah. XP
that works.
Kinda
I was trying to do it all as like one word, but where the capital S is, we have to maybe start a different word from there.
Yeah.
Insomnia, much easier. He gets one, gets traded out quickly, and indeed will be left in the 2 versus 1 now. Pretty big kill. I think it's still going to have to be XP for me, to be honest.
Yeah, shorten it. Why
the rest of it just is a bit hard for my brain on the fly. Maybe I'll be brave from time to time, but at the moment, Jam Young in this 1v2, he's got to be brave as well. He's just missed that player crossing to CT. Could have been a free kill for him. Not going to happen, and he is running out of time here.
Oh, nice find from Jam Young. V1, yeah, time is ticking. Doesn't have a smoke either. Doesn't have a kit, but he's got to get on this. Tap on towards the bomb. Looking to bail out a fight. He might be given the fight, but does he have the time? This one's going to be a lot closer. Yeah, I think he realizes he might not even survive regardless, and he won't. Down he goes. Noobs, but Diligent finally get that first round on the board. It's taken a hot minute to get there, but in the end, they have managed to do so. And now we can start to talk about delivering on all fronts. Can we get a bit of consistency out from this T side? Can we build up something to maybe have an area where we can work from, potentially? I think that's a big round to kind of come off the back of and say, all right, now I feel a bit confident. We nearly did it on a low buy round. We've now done it on a full buy round as well. Let's keep it going.
Hosea managed to find the first ramp. Oh my goodness. That's so clean. Giving them the control of the round now, and the bomb has also been spotted. Orc goes creeping in and will go down, but it's enough in the end here. Jam Young easily able to trade. He just can't get away from Palace. Hosea, though, what a move. We've seen him over on B, be a menace, and now over on A, proving to be very dynamic.
Beautiful. Honestly, really, really nice stuff on an individual note, especially when things are actually potentially looking just a little bit uncomfortable. I think it's probably the way we put it, you know, where they got very close with the round earlier with the pistol, then got obviously managed to get one on the gun round. It looked like they were starting to actually positively spiral and maybe make something work, but thankfully nothing ends up happening. It's not an awkward situation for Tyloo where they lose control of the game, and actually now starting to cook a little bit. Mercury gonna find one cleanly onto XP. It's a good start.
Mercury making himself known here. Going in for a bit more. Oh, it's close. That's a labor spray down, but we'll keep them coming. G is also looking good here on the server as he continues with the AWP. Just going to be Ruben on this Deagle. He's got a flash. He's got the bomb. He's going to need to find a couple, though, if he wants to get this bomb down.
Poor guy in this situation, man. What do you really even do? You got absolutely zero information about where anybody is. You got a Deagle, a flash, no armor. Let's be honest, this one's done before it even starts in the 1v5. If he was able to catch Jam Young jumping across, maybe. But speaks in towards joking in the M4. He picks up a decent kill. 6-1. Already looks pretty good for Tyloo, in all fairness. They're cooking on gas a little bit. They really are playing some good Counter-Strike, and this is exactly what we want to see. You know, at this sort of level right now, there's not really a lot you can say in sort of a negative note for them. I think they just are playing pretty good Counter-Strike, and Noobs Diligence cannot find a way to break them down.
It's true. It is very true, I think. We've seen a couple rounds come close. One they managed to net, but ultimately a struggle here. Quick move towards middle from both sides. First kill goes the way of Sasiki. So we'll see here. The AWP had got itself into a pretty good position, but you know, he's heavily naded off, as it were. Mercury takes one, tries for another, can't quite get it. It is this advantage. It does hang in the balance for MVD, and the Molotov forcing Mosea forwards. That's going to make the difference, right? Now they have this two-man lead. The HP maybe not going to make so much of a difference. The AWP spotted out for a kill. He guesses correctly with the A hit here, though. This could get a bit interesting, but a wonderful play. Jin comes out. Just demolishes the AWP. Jam Young surely to save it.
That's a crazy shot. Yeah, I mean, you would expect to say the only issue is they've actually got money, so they might be tempted to try and make this expensive, which is another idea I don't really hate. I mean, 1v2, for Jam Young is not the most impossible thing in the world. This guy is a hero maker, to say the least. Head over towards Ticket. That could bank quite nicely. Does spot him. Tap on towards the bomb. Oh, he's got to get another guy. Hang on a moment. Jam Young, surely not. He's got to reload. Oh, Jam Young. He's pulled off the 1v3, and he's going to get the kill on top just to rub salt in the wound. That is a damning one to lose for Noobs with Diligent. Oh my, that's got to hurt.
Yes, for sure. I think that is really difficult to be on the end of. What a tilter. What a tilter. NBD have had a couple rounds like that as well. You know what I mean? That one's maybe the worst, but they could easily be up to 3 at the moment. That would make them a bit more competitive, actually. Tyloo wouldn't have 2 of those rounds, so yeah, sucks. But they're not going quietly. They are back with a vengeance, it would seem. Aggression in at mid again. Aggression in at ramp finds them a kill. So see what they can do here as they are sort of spurred forwards in a positive manner, using that energy to their advantage. Mercury, cheeky, and punished for it. So a very, very solid position now for the T side.
Ruben, I'm trying to make a move. This one surely unlosable. Noobs but diligent. Then again, Jam Young is still alive. Joking, still finding kills in towards short. If he got another one there, maybe a chance. But another 1v3 for the king. Jam Young, what have you got for us? If he can step up again in this situation, my God, we might be on for something. He's so cautious of a flank, though. If they call for a bit of a pause, he starts to doubt himself. And that time, there is no doubt. Jam Young dropped. Thankfully, NBD going to get their second on the board. But even still, even if it goes all towards 7-5, I don't know if that's enough. Just because Tyloo, their T-sides are normally where they do a lot of their scariest work.
Okay. Got to make this at least 4. So, on that side of MBD, they really do need to hit a good level here. Demolish the economy. I mean, it could be doable after this round, for sure. But we have obviously seen Tyloo answer back instantaneously in the previous loss round. But we'll see. I don't know, man. Like I say, the scoreline could be a hell of a lot closer here. So I think MBD definitely laying down a couple of nice ones. That entry attempt does not go well for them. And the return utility here for the CT side is just going to keep them at bay. They've got an aggressive rotation coming round as well. So
sure,
B is a lockout here, fellas. You got to go somewhere else.
Well, Ruben, my understanding has done some calling in the past. Might be the one. At least got a lot of experience on his side. I'm going to try and help from the grave. But he's had a slow game. No two ways about it. 2-10. Real rough spot that he finds himself in. Mercury dipping him back over towards tickets. The right call. They're going to give up mid control. I hope they can lock them down. But a player into a sandwich, often this late into a round, might get overlooked as well.
This is a little strange, isn't it? They are checking their angles. Is it diligently? Answer will be yes. 9 drops. C2 player. Oh, 2 is big. 2 is big. Gives the advantage across to Tyloo. Bomb going to go down. But surely enough has been done. Jam Young, good position. Gets the drop. Leaving it all onto Sasiki here. Can he find Molotov down? Ooh, that might just have been heard as well. He's trying to get the angle desperately, but just unable while these flames are in the way. Had to run in, had to sacrifice some of his HP, maybe his life, to get that player off the bomb. It doesn't happen for him, and unfortunately, the defuse is easy as it comes for Tyloo. Yeah,
and that's 8 now for the CT side. They are looking just so comfortable in terms of their counter-strike. There's a couple of moments where maybe there's hiccups there, but I mean, you know, it's small things, like getting a double out from Ticket, gives them the numbers, puts them in a 3v2, gives them the opportunity just to play as a pack, and that's something that Tyloo are doing so well here. Noobs but diligent. They're honestly not even doing terribly in terms of the rounds themselves, but ultimately there's only one team present. G knew about that boost. XP could get a double here. He's actually going to get none. Damage towards both, but no kills. He does have to get traded out, but then Mercury can add a trade of his own.
Yeah, looks good again for Tyloo. Maybe a little bit worrisome in the mid stage of those fights. Jin with the drop though. Oh! I thought Mosea's angle FOV wouldn't work for him, but he'd accounted for that ladder walk down. Probably would have been better for Jin to just sort of jump off and try and get the drop on him, really. Lelandhout spotted now, 100%, right? Got a chance to take a fight, but with it being this late stage of the half, I think it matters too much unless he maybe brings it down to like 1 player. That's clean. Maybe give him some respect here. He's ready for the Palace player as well. Meanwhile, there is a flank coming in slowly to just sort of confirm the round. Not needed. G drops him. 9 rounds now for Tyloo.
My God. 9-2 is nearly as one-sided as it gets, if we're being completely honest. But on the other side too, even if there is a third to be picked up, I still just don't know whether it's going to be enough to make a real difference in this one. It's been a great showing coming through and a really, really solid performance from Tyloo. There just isn't many gaps for MBD to work with. G, whereas ever in that previous round, nice shot from him. He's had a pretty good game as well. But basically everybody's had a pretty good game, in all fairness. G gonna get caught, just as Singer's praises. However, Mosaic for the trade, for the double off the back of Mercury's help as well. And Mercury gonna add more kills to the tally. And he tucks his head in towards Underwood. It should be known, but he falls all the same. XP, like his teammates, 6 feet under. Siki gets caught, and, well, Ruben now left in a 1v3, and this one's probably not going to get off the ground. He's swung by 2 angles. We'll get the first, but an instant trade from Jam Young. 10-2 at the half is a brilliant showing. I don't know if MED have got anything in the locker, but we'll see after the break.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back in the double digits for Tyloo in the first half. Feels like it should be enough here, of course. We still have that second map coming up, the sort of second series, as it were. So, Noobs but Diligent have an opportunity to still give themselves a point. But going to be a tough one if Tyloo are playing like this. Some unlucky rounds in there. Maybe the swap up onto the CT side will be the difference maker. Gonna have to get the pistol. You all know that. Julie's up close. Can't get anything done. Leland Howe as well caught out on the site here. Trying to get some heads. Not gonna happen. And that might just do it, to be honest. They've got the rotations coming in there behind the smokes. No one at CT. Really not a nice look for NBD here. Not sure if this is a reposition or a save. Looks like it will be a reposition, so that's kind of fair.
Oh!
And it works. Okay. The
no.
CT aggression from Tyloo that's not necessarily needed gives a heavy swing back, man. P250 and the Glock set up quite nicely. In all fairness, down to the 1v1. Chuzong trying to find the head up and down the ladder he goes. Mosea untouchable right now, and that 10-second timer just around the corner finds the headshot for good measure. And two incredible pistols coming out from this guy today.
Wow, one of the rounds of all times, in both instances, from the near throw by Tyloo, 3 jumping in towards CT, and all 3 getting clipped out of the sky immediately. And then on the other side as well, the dancing on the ladder, buying time. Mosea was pulling off a reload, so he needed to try and just stay alive in any way that he could. And well, he does a perfect job of it. Tyloo will get the 11th. They are made to work for it, and it will be a force buy out for NBD. But it's one of the few times that I ever say a force buy is probably worth it. Just because you lose this, I mean, you're coming in with going to be what is probably a rough buy regardless on towards this next round, and Tyloo being on map and like a series point in a best of 1 ultimately. So tough spot. NBD find themselves in. If this force doesn't get off the ground, it will basically be the end. If they do find it, feels like it maybe delays the inevitable, but potentially gives them a lifeline.
Player we've heard too much from on this Tyloo side, and he's quite early. Jamyoung also only good for 1, so a little dangerous looking this round, for sure. That's all the utility gone. So it's all about guns, all about finding the kills. B-bomb site might be open here. Jin with a dangerous little peek round. Tries to keep control of B, but fails in his mission. Advantage Tyloo. Scout on the retake. Not really what you want. You've got Lee Lin Hao with the Galil, though. Maybe he can turn this one upside down. They kind of need to go for this. At the same time, they can't really go for this. So, yeah, it's a reluctant save. It is a reluctant save. It's going to be 10 in a row required from the CT side here. Mercury. Oh, doesn't take both. But he might just have set it up, right? They know this guy's in towards CT now.
True. Well, they're hunting. They're going to try and find them. And they will in the end. So, nothing saved and nothing gained for NBD. That is map and series point in this best of 1 for Tyloo, and very comfortably at that as well. They've looked great, played good Counter-Strike all the way through. A couple of mistakes, but never mistakes that have really costed them rounds. So for them, I just don't think they really need to have, you know, more of that discipline or anything of the sort, because they haven't been required to. They haven't had to you know, dip too deep into the strat book or anything of the sort. Great spot. They find themselves in and really set themselves up for the next best of 1 with a hell of a lot of confidence too. Just the way they are playing, they are looking absolutely stunning. Yeah. You do have a bit of a buy though for NBD. So it's not exactly like it's a complete throwaway scenario. One is in the open in window as that smoke was fading, and he might have actually been spotted going to the right-hand side.
Yeah, possible. I think Mercury's job over here, though, is to just draw attention, really. We'll see. On the smoke. Forwards with the Molotov as well. It's a nice idea from Tyloo. Just a small burst, but, you know, they unleashed the trap, right? All 5 members of NBD were in and around mid, ready to go. Left the A-bomb site pretty vulnerable, though. Really set up well here on the Tyloo end. Ruben with 2, Mosea with 2. 10 HP left. The absolute monster of the pistol rounds. Let's see if he can clutch this one up. Jin making a bit of noise, but not taking the fight himself. He knows that bomb is built. Just hold the line. See if he crosses into your sight, which surely eventually he's going to have to do. Lovely angles here, but Mosea finishes it off. Clean headshot despite the low HP. 13-2 in favor of Tyloo. A fantastic performance. coming round from them, really no difficulty at all. We figured they'd be the favorites. We figured they would be the fixers. I think surprising if they maybe let it even get to like double digits, but that sort of one-sidedness really paints the picture of how well they've been playing this season.
Yeah, it just shows how good this Tyloo side are. They are absolutely no joke when it comes towards this season. Hence why they probably now, you know, we kind of talking about coming in towards this game. They probably should be seen as the favorites in the entire season, especially if Lin Vision aren't present. Normally, in the past, it's Lin Vision who would always kind of put the brakes on Tyloo right at the tail end of the season. They've won ESL Challenger League so many times as well in the past. So, yeah, I just think Tyloo look incredible. It's a really, really good shot from them. They're playing great Counter-Strike and not pulling any punches was exactly what you want to see. Let's take a look at some of the stats off the back of that game as well. And one man in particular who we did highlight, Jam Young, was incredible. I mean, not only calling a masterclass, but playing one too. And being a Bianca with those sort of stats and the clutches, just miraculous.
Yeah, it was a very interesting decision, I think, for a lot of people to see Jam Young, who felt like the maybe hottest talent in this team, to see him taking not necessarily a back seat, but a less impactful role in terms of the numbers, right? That felt like the strongest part of his game was just putting up these entries. But we have just seen right there and then Mosaic and Mercury both looking really, really good. Mosaic, I think, was always a bit of a competitor to Jam Young's position. So it does seem maybe giving him a few more of the resources. This is why they're paid the big bucks. They maybe know what they're up to. G as well, also looking good for me. Still maybe finding his feet within this team. Obviously, Kaze was here for a long, long time, as well as at the top level of the scene for a long, long time. So some big boots to be filling. And he has only been in just over a month now, basically since the player break, let's say, right? They added him just before we moved across to the break, so it makes sense for G ultimately. But yeah, a really, really great game out from Tyloo there. I think we're very impressed by what we have seen. Very much looking forward to getting into this next map, this next series now as well. Not sure if we can get it up. We might get the veto up just to kind of show you guys when we come back, but it is going to be Anubis, just in case we get straight into the game there. So be ready for that. Again, another strong map for Tyloo, maybe even better than Mirage, you might argue. But we've got a break first before we get there, folks. Stick with us. Counter-Strike coming up soon. Hello, everybody. Welcome back in. We are getting into that second map now, that second series between these two teams, the next BO1. So a notch for Tyloo. They continue towards the top end. That'll move them up to 11-2 at the moment. Looking really, really solid. They'll be looking to get another one down here. I think we should have the veto to sort of throw up at one point. As I did mention, it is going to be that Anubis coming in as this second BO1 battleground. Another maybe even better map for Tyloo coming up here. So going to be a difficult ride for NBD.
This is one that they have always had as a real strong part of their map pool. I think since basically Anubis got brought into the competitive map pool, they adopted it very quickly. I think it looked very good for them sort of out the gate because it allows them to play these really fluid sort of T-side rounds, which is where they do a lot of their best work. And this is the issue for me. NBD, they're getting close, and they've got very close in... I mean, what, we're talking like 4 specific rounds? I mean, there was the 1v3 clutch, another clutch that went their way on the pistol. You know, there's a multitude of rounds that could have gone the way of NBD, but didn't, right? And I think, you know, that's something that is pretty damning. But in another world, with coming in towards Anubis, they could flip the script a little bit and find a bit of form here. But it's just the fact that I think in terms of raw firepower, this map is incredibly good for Tyloo. They've always looked comfortable on it. They've always played a really nice aggro style of play, which is very difficult to break down if you're a team who's maybe not as mechanically complex as maybe Tyloo are. And I think this is something where now they could use the very dominant win of map number 1 and kind of transfer it in towards map number 2 with relative ease, all in all. So I'm worried a little bit about NBD, maybe whether they've got something up their sleeve, whether they've got an idea here of how to break down Tyloo. They just look like the Tyloo that we love and expect, right? Playing great Counter-Strike, being one of the most dominant faces in this region.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. And, you know, I think it does, again, a lot of the rounds that came down and that they managed to take a lot of those closer ones, it just speaks to the ability that Tyloo have got at the moment. Some fantastic numbers, put up a great calling session out from Jam Young as well. And again, we continue to be excited about this Tyloo team. Obviously, the Mongols at the moment breaking into the top 10. They are the premier Asian team, but we've got to get a little bit of Chinese presence back in there, right? Tyloo at one point were indeed the top dogs of the region. So they are looking to bring that back under namesake and, of course, under this particular crop of players. A few changes here or there. Maybe even Starry on the way, which would be, man, a really scary lineup, actually.
Let's see. Tyloo starting on the T side is good for them. Molotov going to come round. They clear out the Julie's player, but he will get away with one before falling. The SBS tapping away. They've read this well, NBD, but the kills aren't going their way. You can read it well, but it might not make a difference. And now Julie's in behind. All 3 focus their attention to fight. And they can get a safe plant out of this as well to put more pressure on his shoulders. I mean, realistically, this one shouldn't get off the ground. How he walked around, I do not know, because MB pulled it perfectly, but doesn't make a difference in the end. Really, really nice stuff from Tyloo for that first.
Yeah, man. Absolutely incredible stuff. And again, just able to overcome the odds. It is going to be this eco out from Noobs but Diligent. So that is something that they seem to have in their DNA, which not many teams at this level in this region. They all love a good force buy, but no, they're going for the early rifle buy. We're definitely a fan of that. So, you know, I'm sure you're getting it added to the documents ultimately. Although, well, without a force buy, do you make a note of that? How many rounds actually end up being force buys, or is it just purely a win-loss basis?
No, it is actually just purely have they force bought. It's like a tree, right? You know the little like Venn diagram, whatever you call it, right?
Sure,
where it's like
flow chart.
Yeah. Have they bought? Yes or no? If they full bought, right? Like actually full bought, no matter what the full buy is, if they've got no money left in the bank, right? Then obviously goes towards the yes. Do they win? Yes or no? That is simply it. It's just quite a simple yes or no. Some of them, we had a force buy in that last game where it completely makes sense because you're 10-2 down, then you go 11-2 down. That absolutely makes sense. I agree with that one, but I got to keep I still got to put it on as a failed one ultimately, even though I'm actually with them on that one.
Yeah. I'm kind of excited to see maybe end of the year, get it up on Twitter.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do a little video and then describe going through it all.
Yeah. Maybe how things shift or some, you know, you could go really deep on it into like the second iteration. Maybe find out which team does the most force buys and which team does the most force buys with the least success. You know, I think that would be my favorite stat to see come out of it. You know, 80% of rounds they force buy, they win 5% of the force buys, but they still keep doing it. You know, I'm sure there's a team out there like that. A hit coming round here as we're talking over the action ever so slightly. G with the big kill to give them the control and the space to get the bomb down. We'll see. Yeah, just got to watch themselves. Nice adjustment from him to not plant super open to heaven there. And Chuzong gets himself chewed up. 4-on-2. It'll just be a save for these B players.
Unfortunately, I don't really know what we can do for NBD. Trying to be a little aggro hasn't worked. They've tried to play a little bit more kind of passive and shell up a little bit on towards the sides, but then they still get overwhelmed as well. Tyloo, they're ripping heads right now. Mosaic 5 kills to his name. Jam Young 5 kills to his name. These guys play this sort of Counter-Strike. It is so difficult to compete. Terrorists win. 2 set alive for NBD, which is, I guess, okay, and I guess better than nothing, but even still, it's going to be tough to sort of buy around it as well, because you've then got limited long-term economy kind of left over where you could squeeze out buys, but people are going in towards the likes of FAMAS's, for example, if you go for that sort of investment. And then it means that you're risking it with a sort of a half buy here. Then you have no money for a buy in towards the next. So I think more often than not, what we're seeing from MED, teams like to go for just a small investment with util to try and facilitate the rifles, but more or less try and prioritize the buy in towards the next round. A dink as well to start. Once Sasiki is not exactly what he wanted.
Nice find. Chuzong getting aggressive. Way deep into the catches an isolated player and an AK M4 quick trade. So this is kind of hopeful. In all fairness, it is going to be another A move from Tyloo, but they come in a bit weaker. It's not a bad idea. Get those key areas smoked off, but to me, it looks like they just want to contact in and try and overwhelm. We're even going to get a Molotov on the pier. It would appear not. So we'll see here. This is a really interesting kind of move. They're going to go for the eyeball contact utility here, so maybe in a lot faster than NBD would be expecting. There's a boost up attempt here. Can't quite see over it though, unfortunately. Nothing quite presenting. Maybe as it starts to go down. However, the rest of the squad now coming forwards. M4 plus the nade does a lot of damage. Finding 2. It's down to ultimately just Ruben Jin. However, 1v1. It was close. Only 10 HP. Only 1 bullet needed. He can't find it. Oh my goodness. Tyloo back with the BS at the end of the round.
Right down to the end there. But all that matters is Tyloo take yet another and continuing just to, I guess, flourish under these high-pressure situations that NBD are putting them under. But another round that doesn't go the way of NBD. They will be able to buy back in, though. I mean, at the very least, that one was a little bit of a half investment. This is that true investment with the AWP in play. All out 2, which you don't see all too often, but in the right hands, can be pretty scary. Are they wanting to peek G here? I don't know if we do want to do this. G is pretty scary, posted with the AWP. Normally, all he needs is just a pixel. Won't be giving it. Smoke going to come down towards Dark. He spams. He gets pretty close. He doesn't get a tag. In all fairness, towards Mercury, so he'll take that.
Sure. Oh, it's Chuzong to find the first kill, though. Again, problem in towards mid, it would appear. Really opened up the round in the previous. Opening it up in this one as well. So just got to be careful not to overface. Sasiki is here kind of looking to do that, but just keeping it in. Is that snap tap? This guy looks like he's got the snap tap going, to be honest. Those are some really consistent,
they're perfect, aren't they?
kind of moves. Yeah, man. I've seen like from the Bet Boom Dacha qualifiers as well.
Yeah, I saw those. They were crazy. People like running basically, and then they can just briefly tap. We'll come back to it after this. I got a question to pose to you, but we'll come back to it in a second. This round is on the cards. Oh my god, Jam Young gets one of them. Isaiah doubles down. The cross is going to happen, and actually it's just a bad missed shot by Ruben there. Yikes, Tyloo gonna find a fifth, and once again, troubled waters for NBD. But the question I'm gonna pose to you, what are your thoughts on Snaptap? Do you think it's cheating? Do you think it should be allowed? I mean, it's basically no binds, but just already like kind of pre-installed into a keyboard.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
Okay, so for me, I think on a casual level, it's maybe fine. You know, it's maybe, I don't know, it might feel a little bit pay to win potentially. Although the Wooting boards are not crazy, then you could argue like wireless mice and stuff like this.
Yeah.
So I think on like a casual level for like me and you, it's maybe fine. I think on a competitive level though, it kind of is just, you know, pushing the boat. It feels a little bit like steroids in sports. It's like, it would be cool to maybe see what people are capable of at the peak, but also it's not like natural. It's not a skill improvement, if that makes sense. It's like our version of like a biological improvement. It's like the hardware being like doing the job for you. So I don't really agree with it at a high end level. I think, you know, Maui sort of made a tweet about it as well, where a lot of people are focusing on the bare counter strafing, but as we're maybe starting to see, it is sort of this stopping running like instantly, and you know, obviously getting that super accurate first shot or whatever is just really difficult to deal with when you're on the defense. So I don't think it should be allowed, honestly. At one point we were banning like jump throw binds and stuff like this, you know, or jump throw like macros essentially, and they weren't allowed at the high level of competition, but me and you could use them in MM. So I think it's something that's very similar to that, where it's like hardware doing the job for you on something that is a skill. It is difficult, and like getting counter strafing and all that kind of stuff absolutely perfect down to the top 1% is really, really hard. Again, to use the example, me and you might be able to do it to a decent level. You know, Leafy might say, you know, you got like 60-70%, which is slightly above average, but the pro players need that at like 98%, you know, so that they're landing every single quick headshot, every single long range spray down, you know, that catches them off or whatever it might be. And I think that it just removes an entire element of the game having the snap tap in there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is something. I think it's the first instance we've maybe ever had where you can actually call something pay to win, because the scripts themselves are banned, but the keyboard's allowed. That has the script pre-installed. So it's actually the first instance of actually pay to win, where there is actually a barrier to being genuinely better at the game. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little weird that it is allowed. I don't think it will be allowed in competitive play going forward, if I had to guess. But back to the action. Joking gonna get the first. A quick trade comes through with Yorp at range, which isn't a bad shot, but it doesn't look like they're going to commit towards A regardless. If they wrap back towards B, there is only one player here, but there is also a flank too. The bomb should have been caught there, but Jamyoung isn't.
Oh, big though. Big from Mosaic here. Once again, that's going to be the B defense melted. This guy's 10-1 right now. Just continues having massive impact as well. I think the past maybe 2 rifle rounds, 3 rounds in total, have been really beneficial from him. He will go down as the flash is ineffective, so just got to watch it here. But on the extremities, Jin not able to find that kill quickly. Leland Howe was already on the way out, despite what he might have been able to do. So 7-0 here for Tyloo. An attempt at the save, take some guns away. Certainly could be possible. Jin playing with fire, but just wants to get himself on the board a bit more. It's only one. The orb could be big into the next. He's not going to have too much support, so feels like he might as well just go for it. Nearly eliminating all of Tyloo. Not quite, though.
Okay, 7-0. Something's got to change sooner rather than later. We're not giving ourselves a hell of a lot of time to get back into this game. For MBD here, this is getting towards the point of already being wildly uncomfortable for them. Yes, we're on the CT side, and there's arguments to be made about this game being, or this map, may I say, being T-sided, but still, the point remains of not giving themselves a lot of room for error. Tyloo, already a lead for them is pretty good. Or posted, so we'll avoid the flash. I think we're going to want to play out in front of it, but we do. It's an interesting decision to want to play out in front of the smoke. It doesn't work out, but at least Ruben hits a nice shot with the deagle.
G. Oh, be careful here. Molotov coming in. Gets the kill. Okay. Important that they did so, I think, to maybe bring this one back in their favor. Song's still here, however, but he's the only one left. The only one left when he gets overwhelmed from behind. So for a second there, NBD were in a decent position. Tyloo deal with it. Pull up the pause. And there's a couple rounds, there's a couple moments in places where they are having to just watch themselves, but ultimately not too much of a threat here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I need to know. Super clean and concise Counter-Strike being played where BD, again, I mean, this is the good thing, I guess they can just keep continuously buy back in with at least some sort of investment every single round. Got an all-partner play here. They can always get, you know, even like kind of bare minimum SMGs in every round, but just because of loss bonus. But this is still an incredibly awkward spot. Oh, brilliant. G knew the angle, knew the peak, and he hits it beautifully. Jim Pop flashes himself in. It will catch G there. He was full blind, run into the wall. It's a trade. Oh, but a brilliant swing.
Absolutely looking good once again. Kills keep coming round here for Tyloo. MP9 dealt with, bro. Looking so crisp, aren't they? Really just wanting to lay down the law, I think, and say that Anubis is a map that they cannot be contested on domestically at the very least. So, look, ECL is important, but a lot of what is important in the Asia-Pacific region are the qualifiers, you know, to get you through in that Asia spot. It's very, very, very doable for many tournaments across the circuit, and probably going to increase, right? Yeah. As things go into 2025, a few more qualifiers happening, in fact. Maybe a few more spots available, and of course more tournament operators getting involved. So being able to prove it in the sort of regular league, which is what I think with this new format coming in, loads of BO1s, everyone gets a chance at playing a map that they might like, and you know, there's a bit of a guarantee in there that you get a set amount of games, so you can sort of work on it and be like, okay, well, our season's going really well, we might have actually locked in our playoff spot, so let's just start working on some of the maps that we're not as confident with. Anubis, though, comes around as one that Tyloo are clearly proficient on.
Yes, they are very, very comfortable at the moment. They are playing great Counter-Strike, not pulling any punches. They look fantastic on it, and 9-0 up. It already feels like we're starting to get potentially towards the beginning of the end of this series. It's been a great showing. It really has. MBD are aside in very troubled waters at the moment. G posted towards mid, Ashoki making a move. Flashbang comes over, missed shot with the AWP, but he just doesn't expect the creep walk of the AK. Nice little maneuver there. It's a great little 1-2 punch, and now it gives them mid control.
Soaking just holding in here. Good spot to work with, and of course, you know, it's a great incentive for Tyloo to just leave him there and try and work a different area of the map. Felt like he was trained in, not quite. He does go down on the B-bomb site, so there will be a response here, of course, retrieve weaponry and whatnot, but they're not in the immediate vicinity. And still a man down. There's a big one, though. Jam Young loses his head out in towards B main. We've got 2 AKs. We've got a kit. This is absolutely doable, and Tyloo starved of info at the moment, just having to get that utility down, panicking a little bit, I feel. Take an advanced position, though, and they will find Ruben. Don't go peeking in towards B main here. Man above the smoke that could bring you down. They're going to give it up, and Tyloo weathering the storm. Certainly a bit close again, though.
And this is the thing. I think, you know, MBD, credit to them. They're making some of these rounds close, but it's unfortunately close but no cigar. And that was the case in towards Mirage, is the case now. Exit kill for G, made even more expensive, means just an AK. Colin Howe will be saved here, or maybe not even that. Oh, the AWP does miss, but thankfully Mercury will see it off. Nothing saved, nothing gained. That is even more unfortunate. 10-0. Tyloo are loving life in the server right now, playing great Counter-Strike. And at the moment as well, once again, we have to ask questions about, do NBD have anything in the locker? Even if it ends 10-2, I still don't think it's going to be enough. So credit to Tyloo, proving why they are arguably the scariest team in this tournament so far this year.
Looking for another keen start here as the utility towards middle is effective. Scares away NBD at the very least. They are becoming very, very reactive towards the tail end of the half here. I think it becomes one of these things where it's like, okay, we want to get some rounds. We want to make sure that we don't get 13-0'd first off. And we also need some examples of strength to work from. You know, they've not been having the worst season. And they have a lot of games in hand here. So certainly an opportunity for them to make playoffs. Got some examples to work from. Tyloo, ooh, trying not to do that. An unlucky tag for G. He's going to drop the bomb there as well. Nobody around to retrieve it at this point. So looking very, very good for NBD. So be careful that we don't bite off too much. In with the swing. Not sure I'm a big fan of that one, to be honest. Gives the onus back. It's kills all over the place as everyone's getting a bit cheeky. 30 seconds and a bomb retrieval for Tyloo, though. Definitely doable.
Absolutely. Moving over towards not an empty B side, but they're going to lose the race here. Oh, Molotov in hand. Jam Young gets his. There's a flank coming through, but we're just so... 17 points of HP. Surely too tall an order in this 1 versus 2. He's being held for as well. He has been out spotted. This one is done. They're actually going to give him the proper respect too, playing post plants and all of the rest. You've just got to keep hold of that M4. There's no point losing this. There's no point giving this a go. In a 1v2 with 17 points of HP, Shuzong knows it's just never going to get off the ground. So Tyloo going to put up an 11th on the board. And once again, just in some absolutely immaculate fashion, making this look so damn clean. Bomb goes off. Heading into the final round, Tyloo are on track for a flawless half, and maybe even a flawless game.
Alrighty, here we go. All to play for. Noobs but diligent. You want to take it in this one, right? You don't want to put it down to the randomness of the pistol. Game's got to be over. Team like Tyloo, worth their salt. Not going to let this slip, but you don't want to be 13-0'd, man. You don't want to be 13-0'd. There is a bit of something to work with here. And like I say, you want some tape for your Anubis as well. Here we go, though. Big fight outside of A main. In only for one, but that might just be enough. Unfortunately, his teammates have fallen flat. Kill all the way into water. Jin with the nade play, however. He will give them the lead back, so maybe a little something on here. Flash goes in. They hear it come in. Your shot is the nade. Finds the kill. What is going on? Jam Young all alone. And he drops back. He's like, yo, I don't want anything to do with that. That's a bit too crazy for me. I'm going to go B instead.
Yeah, let's not try anything too audacious by continuing to push. I mean, he's gone for the full B wrap, and he actually will get a plant out here. Real open plant, too. Gives him the possibility of playing the aggro in the post plant, wherever he wants to play from. Two moving through that smoke. They jump both ways. Oh, they play that actually really well. One jumps left, one jumps right, and then they have to just contact together. That's actually a perfect way to have played that. Maybe on the other side, Jamion could have played a little bit more passive in his approach and potentially baited in a fight, but he had no idea where they were coming from. We're going to head on to a break, 11-1. Tyloo on track to closing it.
Tyloo looking to better their performance on Mirage, I suppose. I was going to say repeat, but it is slightly better if they can pull this one off. They are 11 rounds, 10 rounds up. So, pick up the pistol. Game is absolutely over. We'll see what NBD can get done. Charging into the setup. This is a bit more how it's done, unfortunately. It's a rinse and repeat of that first half pistol. Just Tyloo saying, we can hit our shots, and you guys don't have the contact flashes to beat us off. Yeah, sadly, that is the case. And Ruben left all alone now. P250, not even Raid Boss. Doesn't have the armor alongside it. Just the P250 itself. I don't know. I mean, A is open, which is great, but it would be great if he had the bomb, and he doesn't. He has to now try and find a gap in behind. Has been spotted. A tag and a dip away. Smartly played. They know they can just play off each other, play together. And after overface, given the space, he's got a minute to work with, but he's already tagged twice in the body. And that's where the lack of armor is the real problematic one. Jumping round. Joking, gonna see it off. 12-1. No bomb plants. And Tyloo, map and series point once again. We'll have a lovely buyout for the Tyloo side. And it will be a force for MBD, as it is the final round, of course. Unfortunately, they can't really bring a hell of a lot to the table. We've got one Galil with armor, which is nice. And then we've got 3 Deagles and a Tech 9 with a little bit of util to work with. A bit of a hope and a prayer here for MBD, it's safe to say. Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Not going to be an easy ride at all. But stranger things happen in Counter-Strike. Soaking. All right. Straight tapping will just immediately eliminate the first. Tuzong with no respect there on that Molotov, and nobody else around towards mid either. So Tyloo could actually do a fair bit with this position. Lee Lin Hao will be heard in the water, so a little bit of a confirmation down below all the same. Looking good here for Tyloo. They're ready for this push to come their way. There's only one that remains all of a sudden. Lee Lin Hao trying to survive, trying to keep his team in this, but a 1 versus 5 going to be required. It is most certainly easier said than done. Here's the more coming in. The MP9 trapping him in now to the fight. There's going to be that flank. The knife is out, and Jam Young. Disastrous to finish it off. 13-2, 13-1 there, of course, on Anubis, and winning out both BO1s in very one-sided fashion. A team that have been doing okay, Noobs but diligent, 3-5 before that. They now go down to 3-7 pretty quickly. We'll have a lovely wake-up call about the split between the rest and, of course, the best in the form of Tyloo. Yeah, absolutely. It's a really, really rough spot for them in that series. They just never really found any sort of form. They never got going. I mean, only getting 3 rounds across 2 maps is pretty damning. Tyloo just looks so good. I mean, this is a side who we know are really, really effective at this sort of top level. They very rarely as well lose to teams who are considered underdogs against them, and this is kind of one of their best things. I think the biggest issue that Tyloo have always had is playing up against teams that are maybe better than them, the way that they struggle and maybe give them a bit too much respect, or teams on the same level and they seem to succumb to a bit of the pressure and all the rest. But in this instance, they knew they were the best. They came in and played like the best as well. We highlighted Jam Young coming in towards this one. We have some stats for him off the back of it, and another really good map. He had like a 2.25 in map 1 and a 2.29 in map number 2 as well. With 16-7. He had a whale of a time. IGL, Star Fragger, everything you want to see. Playing brilliant. Yeah, absolutely, man. I think kind of the question of it is just ultimately whether he will be able to sort of continue these performances into those bigger games, right? When he's IGLing, when there's a bit more pressure on. I think it's a bit easy to IGL when everyone is just so capable of picking up the frags, right? And he as well. So we'll see. Those are, I believe, his overall stats here as well for the entire series, which considering, we had 15-round game, 14-round game, it's pretty decent. It's pretty decent. I'd be very curious as well to see where a player like Mosea is at after that first map performance in particular. I think could be a real big number out from him. But yeah, Tyloo looked very, very good. And we expected them to pick this one up. We expected it to be no trouble at all. It is just kind of a question of how deep it can go. You know, they've picked up a couple losses, and indeed, I think people maybe didn't expect them to be coming out so hot into this season, right? But they've lost out to Atox, and then I believe lost out to Say GG, if I'm understanding the...
I think so, yeah.
The rundown here. It can be a bit difficult in the BO1 round robin crisscross kind of thing, but yeah, indeed, I think so. That's a little bit of a surprise, the Say GG loss. It was only the one map, so one would assume that they, you know, won the other BO1, so it might have ended up on a map that they're not super confident with. But yeah, Tyloo looked like a favorite going into the playoffs. I think it goes without saying that they could have locked their playoff spot in by now with how this week has gone down. A few more weeks of regular play. Yeah, I don't know that there's too much more to add on top of that, though. It's just now we need to see this Tyloo team tested, and
it's true.
They haven't really been.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where for Tyloo, I'm looking at them and saying, where is actually the ceiling of the side? Because in the past, we've seen them, you know, make it to events like ESL Pro League, for example, but then absolutely crumble there. So I'm really interested to see what the team can do when they get towards an event, which it feels like it will be inevitable at this point, like an ESL Pro League or potentially even an IEM through like a qualifier. What can they actually do on the big stage against a big side? But ultimately, really good showing from Tyloo. Looked clean, played great Counter-Strike all the way through. Only let go of 3 rounds. I mean, it just showcases how good they are. But for here on the Asian cast and for ECL, we are done. This could be a pretty hefty break. Well, obviously, you know, a pretty hefty break until EU later on tonight. I think it's about good kind of 4 or so hours from now. And then, of course, following that, we South America and then North America. So plenty of Counter-Strike for the rest of today. We'll be back tomorrow as we'll be jumping on Asia once again. So make sure to come and join us same time, same place for some more Counter-Strike action. But for myself and Scrib, we're going to bid you farewell. Thank you for joining us. See you soon.